Hi everyone and welcome to your endocrinology lecture. We are going to do an introduction and talk about all the different glands and hormones that we are going to be discussing for the rest of the week with endocrinology. So here's your intro lecture. This is just going to be real quick to introduce you to some of the organs involved and the hormones that are involved. So the endocrine system is a series of glands that produce and secrete hormones that the body uses for a wide range of functions. These control many different bodily functions. Some of those include respiration, metabolism, reproduction, sensory perception, movement, sexual development, growth. Some of the factors that affect the endocrine organs include puberty, aging, pregnancy, the environment, genetics, and certain diseases and medications as well. Things like medicine and herbal supplements and prescription medication like opioids and steroids, they also affect the endocrine organs. So basically, the endocrine system or endocrinology is the scientific study of actions of hormones and their metabolic consequences in health and disease states. Endocrinology is concerned with the biosynthesis, the storage, chemistry, biochemical, and physiological function of hormones, and with these cells of the endocrine glands and tissues that secrete them. It is a branch of biology and medicine that deals with the endocrine system. So, the endocrine system consists of several glands, all in different parts of the body. These glands secrete hormones directly into the blood rather than into a duct system. The hormones that are secreted by the endocrine glands, they leave the glands, they enter the bloodstream, and are transported to organs and tissues in every part of the body in order to control the body's metabolism, growth, sexual development, and functions. Keep in mind that hormones are produced by glands and they are sent to the bloodstream in various tissues in the body. They send signals to those tissues and tell them what they are supposed to do. When the glands do not produce the right amount of hormones, diseases develop that can affect many aspects of life. Here is an image from your textbook that shows you the location of several endocrine glands in the body. There's the pineal gland, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland in the brain. You have the thyroid and the parathyroid glands, the thymus, the location of the thymus, the adrenal glands, which sit right on top of the kidneys, the pancreas, the ovaries, and the testes. So we will break all of these up and talk about each and every single one of these organs. Okay, so the pineal gland is a small endocrine gland that's located in the brain. It secretes melatonin, and it is probably involved in controlling the body's sleep patterns. So melatonin, as you know, helps the body recognize when it is time to go to sleep. This is a big area of research, so researchers continue to learn more and more about this particular gland. The pineal gland also secretes serotonin, which plays a possible role in mental illness. The hypothalamus is in control of the pituitary hormones by releasing many different types of hormones. So I'll mention some of these now. Thyrotropic hormone or thyrotropic releasing hormone, growth hormone or growth releasing hormone, corticotropin releasing hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone. These hormones all regulate the body's temperature, the appetite, body's weight, mood, sex drive, sleep, and also thirst. The hypothalamus is a system of neurons in fiber tracts. endocrine tissue, and blood vessels that are responsible for the production and the release of the pituitary hormones into the systemic circulation. This is also known as the hypothalamus-hypophyseal system. It is located just above the brainstem, below the thalamus. The hypothalamus links the nervous system to the endocrine system via the hypophysis or the pituitary gland. This gland, as mentioned, activates and controls involuntary body functions like appetite, sleep, temperature, and also some of the circadian cycles. The pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is an endocrine gland located just off the hypothalamus at the base of the brain. It is also known as the main endocrine master gland because it secretes hormones that regulate the functions of other glands as well as growth and several body functions. The anterior pituitary gland secretes hormones that affect sexual development, thyroid function, growth, skin pigmentation, and the adrenocortical function. The anterior pituitary is underactive. If it is underactive, it can lead to dwarfism in childhood and underactivity in other endocrine glands. The posterior pituitary secretes oxytocin, which is a hormone that raises uterine contractions, as well as ADH, the antidiuretic hormone, which encourages the reabsorption of water by the kidneys. Again, the pituitary gland is known as the master gland because it greatly influences other organs in the body, and its function is vital to the overall well-being of a person. The pituitary gland produces several hormones. There is the anterior and posterior pituitary gland. The parathyroid glands. This is a small endocrine gland that's located in the neck. These parathyroid glands produced the parathyroid hormone, which regulates calcium and phosphorus in the blood, regulates blood clotting, and neuromuscular excitation. The parathyroid glands are vital to proper bone development because it helps control both calcium and phosphorus levels in the body. The parathyroid gland is actually a group of 4 small glands that are located behind the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland. This is an endocrine gland that's located just below the Adam's apple in the neck. It produces hormones that play a key role in regulating blood pressure, body temperature, heart rate, metabolism, and how the body reacts to other hormones. It uses iodine to manufacture hormones. The 2 main hormones are thyroxine and triiodothyronine. It also produces calcitonin, which stimulates bone cells to add calcium to the bone, as well as regulating calcium metabolism. The thyroid is found in both men and women, and it controls a person's metabolism. Again, it is located in the front of the neck. This gland secretes hormones that govern many of the functions of your body, such as the way that we use energy, the way that we consume oxygen, and the way that we produce heat. Thyroid disorders typically occur when this particular gland releases too many or too few hormones. An overactive or underactive thyroid can lead to a wide range of health problems in a person. The thymus gland. This gland secretes hormones that are commonly referred to as the humoral factors and are important during puberty. The role of these hormones is to make sure a person develops a healthy immune system. The thymus gland is an endocrine gland that is located right beneath the breastbone or the sternum. T lymphocytes, which are a type of immune cells, mature and multiply in this particular area very early in life. After puberty, the thymus gland tends to shrink. The thymus gland plays a vital role in the body's immune system. The pancreas is located in the abdomen. It is both an endocrine gland and also a digestive organ. It produces insulin, somatostatin, glucagon, and pancreatic polypeptides. Insulin, as you know, plays a key role in carbohydrate and fat metabolism in the body. Somatostatin regulates endocrine and nervous system function. It inhibits the secretion of several hormones such as gastrin, insulin, and also growth hormone. Glucagon is a peptide hormone that raises blood glucose levels when they are very low. Pancreatic polypeptides help control the secretion of substances made by the pancreas. The adrenal glands. This is also known as the suprarenal glands because they are located right above the kidneys. Adrenal glands are divided into two different regions. The right gland, which is triangular, while the left one is semilunar in shape. These glands secrete corticosteroids and catecholamines, such as norepinephrine and adrenaline or epinephrine, which are hormones that are released in response to stress. The adrenal glands also produce androgens, male sex hormones, that promote the development of male characteristics. Testosterone is the major androgen. The adrenal glands produce aldosterone, which affect kidney function. The gland also produces androgens and cortisol. It helps to control blood sugar. In addition, it helps the body do the following: promote proper cardiovascular function. It helps in how we respond to stress, as mentioned, properly utilizing carbohydrates and fats. It helps distribute stored fat and gives the body odor and pubic hair. The testes and the ovaries. The testes or the testicles are found in men. These are glands that produce testosterone, which promote the growth of the penis as a male gets older, as well as facial and body hair. It also deepens the voice of a male at a certain age. Other functions of testosterone are maintaining sex drive, promoting production of sperm, and also maintaining healthy levels of muscle and bone mass. The ovaries are located on either side of the uterus in females. They secrete the hormones estrogen and progesterone. These hormones ensure sexual development, fertility, and healthy menstrual periods. So let's talk about these hormones and some of their chemical functions. Hormones are the body's chemical messengers and are a part of the endocrine system. Endocrine glands make hormones which travel through the bloodstream to the tissues and the organs and control most of our body's major systems. The endocrine system regulates our heart rate, our metabolism, how we use the energy, how we get energy from foods. It controls our appetite, our mood, our sexual function. It controls our reproduction, the growth and development, and also sleep cycles. It protects and it controls so much more within the body. So keep in mind that hormones are like our body's chemical messengers, and they are a huge part of the endocrine system. These hormones will travel through the bloodstream into our tissues and our organs. The hormones are grouped into one of the following chemical categories. They can be steroid hormones, generally insoluble in water. They can be polypeptides or proteins, which are water soluble. Hormones can be derived from amino acids. These are proteins that are bound or unbound. They can also be fatty acid derivatives. The hormone's molecular composition affects its physiological activity and also its half-life. So, these are the different functions of hormones. They can be regulatory, morphogenic, or integrative. Regulatory hormones are, or they function to maintain homeostasis of extracellular and intracellular fluids. They respond to demands of starvation, infection, trauma, physiological stress, and sexual reproduction. The morphogenic hormones play an important role in the growth of an organism, for example, in the development of the male and female sex characteristics. Integrative hormones are a single type of hormone that may act independently or in concert or conjunction with other hormones to regulate a specific function. For example, hormones that participate in carbohydrate metabolism. Some of the regulatory functions of hormones are listed here. Homeostasis, again, is a way of maintaining a balance through the action of hormones that tightly regulate the metabolism of salt, water, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. These hormones work to respond to demands of starvation, infection, trauma, physiological stress, and sexual reproduction. The types of hormone actions are also or can also vary. Endocrine hormones or exocrine hormones. Endocrine hormones are synthesized in one location and are released into the blood circulation. They bind to specific receptors in the cells at a distant site to elicit characteristic physiological responses. Exocrine hormone actions are synthesized in endocrine cells and released into the lumen of the gut at varying distances from endocrine cells, thereby affecting their function. The juxtacrine action are hormones that act on immediate adjacent receptor cells by direct cell-to-cell contact. Neurocrine hormones are synthesized in neurons and affect nearby cells. Neuroendocrine hormones are synthesized in nerve endings and interact with receptors of cells at distant sites. Neurotransmission hormones are synthesized in neurons and released from nerve endings, affecting other neuron actions. Paracrine hormones are hormones that bind to receptors in nearby cells of a different type and affects its function. And autocrine are the hormone action that affects the function of the cell that produced it. There are several mechanisms that maintain the balance between production of hormones and the organism's need for hormones. The production of hormones is also regulated by the metabolic activity of the hormone itself through a positive feedback mechanism or a negative feedback mechanism. We'll talk about those too. A positive feedback mechanism. In a positive feedback mechanism system, an increase in the product increases the activity of the system, which in turn increases the rate of production of the product itself. Here is an example of a positive feedback mechanism. So one example is breastfeeding and a newborn or a baby put to the breast. So sucking on the breast stimulates nerve endings in the nipple and the areola of the breast. Neural pathways carry stimuli to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus produces oxytocin that is released by the posterior pituitary gland, and oxytocin causes the mammary lobules to contract. With this action, there is milk let down, so milk starts to come out. So this is an example of the positive feedback mechanism system. It's the suckling on the nerve endings and the signal that is sent to the brain, and the hormone that is released by the brain. This here is an example of the negative feedback mechanism with glucose production. In the negative feedback system, an increase in the product decreases the activity of the system, resulting in a decrease in the level of the product. So the stimulus in this example here would be eating and the rise of blood glucose levels. The high blood glucose level is detected by insulin secreting cells in the pancreas. The pancreas then secretes the hormone insulin, causing the liver cells to uptake glucose and store it as glycogen. Most body cells also take up more glucose in this case. So as the body cells take up blood glucose, glucose levels start to decline and insulin release stops. That is an example of the negative feedback mechanism. So now let's talk about some hormonal controls. The anterior pituitary gland occupies a central position in the control of hormone secretion through the production of so-called tropic hormones that regulate other target endocrine cells. This is called adenohypophysis, which is part of it's located in the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Tropic hormones are needed in order to maintain normal rates of secretion in target glands. The main target organs of the pituitary tropic hormones are the thyroid glands, the adrenal cortex, and the gonads. The biological response to a hormone is initiated by binding of the hormone to a specific target cell receptors. Here are some characteristics of hormone receptors. They must be highly specific. So target tissue is affected only by the active hormone and not by other substances to which the cell is exposed to. They must be at an equilibrium system, so there must be a hormone and a receptor that form a complex. Receptors must be capable of being saturated. The degree of a biological response of a target tissue is proportional to the number of hormone receptor complexes. And the hormone receptors must be high affinity, which allows hormone receptor complexes to form in the presence of very low levels of circulating hormones. There are two general models of hormone action. One for peptide hormones and catecholamines, and the other one for steroids and iodothyroxines. For the peptide hormones and catecholamines, they elicit the responses by binding to receptors located on or in the cell membrane. Steroids and thyroid hormones enter the target organ cells and bind with intracellular receptors. And here are some endocrine disorders that can be caused by different actions. They can be caused by excess or deficiency of hormones normally produced by the endocrine glands, the production of abnormal hormones, a resistance of hormone action, abnormalities of hormone action, abnormalities of hormone transport and metabolism, and or multiple endocrine abnormalities all at the same time. Here are some examples of endocrine hormones and their target tissues. HGH stands for human growth hormone. This stimulates the liver, the muscles, cartilage, bone, and other tissues to secrete IGFs. IGF stands for insulin-like growth factor 1. TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. TSH stimulates the thyroid gland to secrete thyroid hormones. ACTH stands for adrenocorticotropic or adrenocorticotrophic hormone. This hormone targets the kidney tubules by stimulating the reabsorption of water and reducing the concentration of solutes in the blood. Next is oxytocin. Oxytocin targets the mammary glands and uterine muscles. It initiates uterine contractions during childbirth, stimulates flow of the milk from breast during lactation. Prolactin targets the mammary glands as well and stimulates milk production in breast during lactation. FSH is short for follicle stimulating hormone. It targets the ovaries and the testes and stimulates egg production in females and also sperm production in males. LH stands for luteinizing hormone, and it targets the ovaries and the testes as well and stimulates progesterone and estrogen production, initiates ovulation in females, and stimulates testosterone production in males. And here's some of the detection methods that are used in the laboratory for these hormones. Hormones typically occur or are seen and detected in the bloodstream at very low concentrations, so picograms or nanograms. So they require very sensitive methods of detection. Immunoassays use antibodies to detect and to quantitate these hormones. Some examples of immunoassays are the EIA methods, the heterogeneous and homogeneous methods, the immunometric sandwich assays, and the chemiluminescent immunoassays.